The voicemail notification glowed on Detective Sarah Chen's phone at 3:47 a.m. 5 messages. All from the same number. All from the same woman. All sent within 43 minutes of each other on the night of October 4th. And Maya Reeves, the woman who left them, had been missing for 72 hours. Sarah sat in her car outside Maya's apartment building, the rain turning the windshield into a watercolor of red and blue emergency lights. The building manager had called it in after neighbors reported a smell. But when they opened the door, they found nothing. No body, no blood. Just an empty apartment with the heat turned up to 90 degrees and every window sealed shut. The smell had been rotting fruit. Dozens of overripe peaches scattered across the kitchen counter, their flesh collapsing into themselves. The first voicemail was from Maya's sister, Rachel. Sarah pressed play. "Rachel, it's me. I know you're probably asleep, but I needed to hear your voice, even if it's just your voicemail. I'm at the observatory. Do you remember when Dad used to take us here? Before everything fell apart? I'm standing exactly where we stood that night he showed us Saturn's rings. I can see them right now through the telescope. They're so clear tonight. I wanted to tell you that I forgive you. For what happened with Mom's house. For the things you said at the funeral. I forgive all of it. I just wanted you to know that before... Well, I just wanted you to know. I love you. I'm sorry I've been so distant lately. Call me back when you get this, okay? I'll be here for another hour." Sarah had interviewed Rachel 2 days ago. She'd been home in Portland, 300 miles away. Her phone records confirmed it. She'd listened to the voicemail the next morning while making coffee. By then, Maya had already been missing for 6 hours. Rachel had said her sister sounded peaceful, happy even. Like she'd finally let something go. But the observatory had been closed that night. The security footage showed no one entering or leaving after 6 p.m. The second voicemail was from Maya's ex-boyfriend. David came. Sarah had found him at his office working late. Still working late at midnight on a Friday because that's what junior partners at law firms do. She watched his face as he listened to the message on speaker. "David, I know I shouldn't be calling you. I know we said we wouldn't do this anymore. But I'm sitting in our spot, and I can't stop thinking about the last time we were here together. Remember? The Italian place on Moreau Street, table by the window. You ordered the carbonara, and I stole half of it because mine was terrible. We laughed so hard, the waiter thought we were drunk. I can taste the wine right now. That cheap Chianti you insisted was actually good. I'm drinking it right now, the same bottle, same vintage. I kept one. I know that's pathetic. I wanted to tell you that you were right about everything. About me. About how I push people away. About how I'm always running from something I can't name. I'm tired of running, David. I'm so tired. I'm going to fix things this time. I promise. I'm going to be better. Maybe when this is all over, we could try again. Just think about it. You don't have to answer now. But think about it." David had gone pale. He told Sarah that Maya had sounded drunk, sad, desperate. Classic Maya when she was spiraling. But here's what didn't make sense. The Italian restaurant had been demolished 8 months ago. It was a parking garage now. And David had checked his credit card statements going back 2 years. He'd never been to any restaurant called Moreau Street. He'd never ordered carbonara in his life. He was allergic to eggs. The third voicemail was from Maya's therapist, Dr. Elizabeth Monroe. Sarah had needed a warrant for this one. Patient confidentiality. Even when the patient might be dead, Dr. Monroe had listened to it in her office. Her face carefully neutral in that way therapists learn to arrange their features. "Dr. Monroe, I know I'm not supposed to call you outside of sessions, but I think you need to know that I figured it out. Everything we've been talking about for the past year. The dreams. The gaps in my memory. The feeling that I'm always watching myself from somewhere else. I figured out what it means. I'm in the house right now. My childhood house. I know my parents sold it 6 years ago, but I found a way in through the basement window. It still opens the same way. Everything is different inside. New furniture, new paint. But I can still see us here. All of us. Before Dad left. Before Mom got sick. Before I became this. I'm standing in the kitchen where it happened. where I found her that morning. The morning everything changed. And I finally understand what you've been trying to tell me about trauma. About how we bury things we can't survive remembering. I found the letters, Dr. Monroe. They were in the crawl space behind the water heater. Mom's letters. The ones she wrote but never sent. They explain everything. Why she did it. Why she chose that morning. Why she wanted me to be the one to find her. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just sad. So incredibly sad. I'm going to leave the letters on your desk. You should read them. They'll help you understand. Thank you for trying to save me. I know you did your best. Dr. Monroe had violated every ethical boundary she had by telling Sarah what came next. Maya's mother had died of a stroke in a hospital, surrounded by family. There had been no morning discovery, no trauma, no letters. And the childhood house Maya described? It had been demolished 12 years ago to build a strip mall. Dr. Monroe had driven there after the session to confirm. She'd stood in the parking lot of a Target, staring at the spot where a kitchen had never been. The fourth voicemail was from Maya's coworker, James Patterson. He worked in the cubicle next to hers at the marketing firm downtown. He'd seemed annoyed when Sarah showed up at his door, like this was an inconvenience rather than a tragedy in motion. James, hey, it's Maya. I'm at the Meridian Hotel, room 808. The one we always joked about. The one with the view of the entire city. I finally booked it. I know we said it was too expensive, that we were just fantasizing, but I used my savings and here I am. The view is everything we imagined. I can see the river, the bridges, all those tiny lights that look like stars from up here. I wanted to call you because you were the only person who understood what I was trying to do with the Henderson campaign. Everyone else thought I was crazy, but you got it. You saw what I was trying to build. I'm working on it right now, actually. The final pitch. The one that's going to change everything. I've been up for 36 hours straight and I finally have it. The perfect angle. The perfect story. I'm going to present it on Monday, and when I do, they're going to see what we're capable of. What I'm capable of. I couldn't have done this without you, James. Without those late nights in the office. Without you believing in me when I stopped believing in myself. I'm going to put your name on the presentation. We're partners in this. Equals. I'll see you Monday, okay? This is going to change our lives. James had stared at Sarah like she'd grown a second head. He barely knew Maya. They'd worked in adjacent cubicles for 3 months, exchanged maybe 20 words total. He'd never worked late with her. Never discussed any campaign. There was no Henderson account. And when Sarah called the Meridian Hotel, they confirmed that no one named Maya Reeves had checked in that night. Room 808 had been occupied by a family from Ohio celebrating their daughter's graduation. The silence in this house is heavy, isn't it? 5 voicemails, 5 completely different nights, 5 impossible locations. If you're brave enough to see where this truth leads, subscribe to Echoes of Silence now. And tell me in the comments, which voicemail do you think is real, or are none of them? I read everything. The 5th voicemail was for a number that didn't exist anymore. Sarah had traced it to a disconnected line, a phone that had been out of service for 4 years. But somehow, Maya had called it. Somehow it had received the message. Mom, I know you can't hear this. I know you've been gone for 7 years. But I'm calling anyway because I need to tell you something. I'm at the pier. Our pier. Where you used to take me every Sunday morning before church. We buy hot chocolate from that cart and watch the boats. You tell me stories about the places you wanted to travel. Paris, Tokyo, Morocco. All these cities you'd never see because you spent your life taking care of me and Dad. I'm sitting on our bench right now. Someone carved their initials into it since we were last here. But I can still feel us. Still feel your hand in mine. Still hear your voice telling me that everything would be okay, even when it wasn't. I need to tell you that I'm scared, Mom. I'm so scared. Something's wrong with me. Has been wrong for a long time. I see things that aren't there. Remember things that never happened. I lose hours, sometimes days. I'll be at work and then suddenly I'm somewhere else and I don't know how I got there. The doctors say it's stress, anxiety. They give me pills that make everything fuzzy. But I know it's more than that. I know I'm breaking apart, splitting into pieces. And I don't know how to stop it. I think about joining you sometimes. About how easy it would be to just walk into the water and keep walking. But I'm not brave enough. I'm never brave enough. I'm sorry I'm like this. Sorry, I couldn't be stronger. Sorry I couldn't save you. Sorry I couldn't save myself. Sarah had sat in her car for 20 minutes after listening to that last message. The rain had stopped. The emergency lights had been turned off. The building manager had gone home. And Maya Reeves was still missing. She pulled up the case file on her laptop. The timeline didn't make sense. The voicemails had been sent between 10:04 p.m. and 10:47 p.m. on October 4th. 43 minutes. But the locations were impossible. The observatory was 20 miles north of the city. The restaurant that no longer existed was downtown. The childhood house that had been demolished was in the suburbs. The hotel was on the east side. The pier was south, on the waterfront. Even if Maya had been driving at illegal speeds, she couldn't have reached all 5 locations in 43 minutes, unless she hadn't been at any of them. Sarah started cross-referencing the metadata from the voicemails. The technical data that most people don't know exists. Cell tower pings, GPS coordinates, background noise signatures. And that's when everything fell apart. All 5 voicemails had been sent from the same location, Maya's apartment. The same apartment where Sarah was parked right now. The same apartment where they'd found nothing but rotting peaches and sealed windows. She pulled up the audio analysis. Background noise in the first voicemail. Wind, distant traffic, the creak of the observatory dome rotating. But when she isolated those sounds and ran them through the database, they didn't match any real observatory. They matched a sound effects library. Stock audio purchased online. Downloaded 2 days before Maya disappeared. The second voicemail. Restaurant ambiance, clinking glasses, Italian music. All of it from the same sound library. Track 47. Italian restaurant atmosphere. The third voicemail. House settling sounds, old pipes, creaking floorboards. Track 93. Haunted house interior. The fourth voicemail. Hotel room air conditioning, city sounds through a window, ice machine in the hallway. Track 156. Hotel room night. The fifth voicemail. Ocean waves, seagulls, wooden pier sounds. Track 201. Seaside morning. Maya had never left her apartment. She'd constructed 5 different realities, 5 different versions of her last night alive, and she'd called 5 different people to deliver 5 different truths. Or 5 different lies. Sarah couldn't tell anymore which was which. She looked through Maya's computer history, obtained through another warrant. 3 weeks before she disappeared, Maya had been researching dissociative identity disorder, memory manipulation, false memory syndrome, how to create believable background noise for audio recordings, how to fake GPS data, how to make people believe you were somewhere you'd never been. But here's what kept Sarah awake at night, what made her hands shake as she scrolled through the evidence. Maya had also been researching something else. She'd been reading articles about quantum suicide. About the theory that consciousness doesn't end, it just shifts to another reality where you survived. About how every choice creates a new universe, and somewhere in the infinite branches of possibility, every version of you exists. The last website Maya had visited before she disappeared was a forum for people who believed they'd shifted between realities. People who swore they remembered their own deaths. People who claimed they'd woken up in a world that was almost identical to their own. But not quite. Small differences. Mandela effects. Memories that didn't match anyone else's. Maya had posted there at 9:47 p.m. on October 4th, 17 minutes before the first voicemail. The post said, "I've been 5 different people tonight. In 5 different places. Living 5 different last moments. I don't know which one is real anymore. I don't know which one I'm supposed to be, but I'm going to choose. I'm going to pick the reality where I get to say goodbye, where I get to tell them I'm sorry, where I get to be forgiven. And then I'm going to let the other 4 fade away. Wish me luck. I hope I make the right choice." Sarah closed her laptop. The apartment building was dark now. She'd been sitting here for 3 hours, listening to the voicemails on repeat, trying to find the pattern, the hidden message, the clue that would tell her where Maya Reeves had gone. But maybe that was the wrong question. Maybe the question wasn't where Maya went. Maybe it was which Maya went. And which four were left behind, trapped in realities that no longer existed, still living those final moments over and over, still leaving messages for people who would never hear them the way they were meant to be heard. Sarah's phone buzzed. A text from the tech team. They'd finished analyzing the apartment. They found something. Behind the dresser in Maya's bedroom, hidden in the wall, they'd found 5 phones. 5 different models. 5 different numbers. Each one had a single voicemail saved in the drafts. 5 different messages, never sent, recorded in Maya's voice. In the first one, Maya was crying, begging her sister for forgiveness for something she wouldn't name. In the second, she was angry, screaming at David about betrayal and lies. In the third, she was calm, clinical, describing symptoms of psychosis to her therapist. In the fourth, she was manic, laughing about how she'd finally figured out the truth about the company she worked for. In the fifth, she was silent. Just breathing. For 11 minutes and 43 seconds. Just breathing into the phone like she was waiting for someone on the other end to say something. To tell her it was okay to let go. Sarah sat there in her car, staring at the dark windows of Maya's apartment, and wondered which version of the story was true. Which Maya had actually disappeared. Which reality had claimed her. And whether somewhere, in one of those infinite branches of possibility, Maya Reeves was still standing in an observatory, or sitting in a restaurant that no longer existed, or finding letters in a house that had been demolished, or staring at a city view from a hotel room she never booked, or standing on a pier with her mother's ghost, living out those final moments forever, trapped in the amber of her own constructed memory. The case remained open. Maya Reeves remained missing. And somewhere, on 5 different phones, 5 different truths waited in the darkness. Each one as real as the others, each one as false. Sarah drove away as the sun began to rise. She never listened to the voicemails again. But sometimes, late at night, her phone would buzz with a notification. A voicemail from an unknown number. She never answered. Never listened. Because she knew, somehow, that it would be Maya's voice. Still leaving messages. Still trying to be heard. Still trapped somewhere between 5 different realities, unable to choose, unable to let go, unable to fade. The last piece of evidence they found was a note on Maya's computer. A single document, unsaved, left open on the screen. It said, "If you're reading this, I chose wrong. Tell them I'm sorry. Tell them I tried. Tell them I'm still here somewhere. Tell them to listen closely. Tell them the truth is in the silence between the words. Tell them." The sentence ended there, unfinished. Like Maya had been pulled away mid-thought. Like reality itself had reached in and taken her before she could complete the warning. Or maybe she'd simply closed her eyes, taken a breath, and stepped into one of those 5 realities, leaving this one behind forever. Detective Sarah Chen closed the case file 14 months later. Unsolved. No body recovered. No final answers. Just 5 voicemails, 5 impossible locations, and the growing suspicion that Maya Reeves had found exactly what she'd been looking for. A way out. Or a way in. Depending on which truth you chose to believe.